Shalom and welcome to this week's Living Torah. Pray you guys had a wonderful 4th of July. Those of you in the United States that celebrate that. We did with a huge firework display up at our son's house. And I'm running a little late this week. A number of reasons. Number one is we have our oldest grandson is in from Colorado. He's here for about 2 weeks. And let me just tell you, I have great respect today, this morning, for Abraham and Sarah, as they had, children. They had Isaac when they were like in their 90s. I don't know how the man did it, but a lot of respect. I am absolutely worn out trying to keep up this week, and on top of all of that, I recorded on Tuesday, like I normally do, this program, and as I put in the computer, and as I'm doing the edit, I notice that I'm watching myself talk, but there's no sound, which is somebody forgot to turn the microphone on. Since I'm the only one in the office that does any of those things, I guess it was me. So I had to delete that one, and it's taken me till Friday morning to start over again. So that's the main reason this is going out. What normally happens, I've figured that out actually, because I've done this not a number of times, because there is on my screen in front of me, there's some little bars there that move and tell me that the audio is on, but it's usually the Almighty's way of bleeping me. In other words, he knew that I was going to be saying some things in that video that I shouldn't say maybe, so he just bleeped the whole thing and makes me start over. So, all right, so I want to get, this is going to be a little shorter this week, as I'm spending some time with Chase this afternoon, and or late in the morning actually. But I want to get into Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 16. It is a very important Torah portion, and it is about Korach. To understand the concept of what is happening here with Korach, is his name is Kof Resh Hey, which is the Kof is Kadosh. You might remember that. Sorry, my voice. We had a huge fireworks show last night, and I'm not sure it was all legal, but it was. We were out late in the evening air and all those things, so my voice is going to be a little on the raspy side today. Kadosh or Kof is the letter for what is holy. Resh is head, and Hey is breath. His name actually means bald. And so to understand this a little bit further, when we look at the Torah portion, it says, now Korach. Okay, the word now there is very important in understanding. There is a Lamed Kof Hey. If you notice a couple of letters that are the same in both of those words, I'll let you go into more of a study on that one, but it means to take. And so if we put these two words together, we get the idea that Korach is desiring to take the authority away from Moshe. And of course, that's what we see. But it is actually in the pictograms, the Paleo-Hebrew there, that he is seeking to take or to usurp leadership from Moshe. Now, I have some speculation here, and this is not the first time that I've brought this out through the years, but did this idea, was it actually birthed back at we go back a number of Torah portions, and it is the story of Miriam and Aaron, where they come, and it's about the Ethiopian woman that Moshe has married. Well, we know in the end that it has nothing to do with the Ethiopian woman. It is about, once again, usurping authority from Moshe. And it's evident to me that this is not the first time that these two have talked about this. They've probably been spending quite a bit of time between the two of them discussing this. And okay, now how do we don't like what Moshe's doing. We don't like his the fact that he's, in our opinion, taking so much upon himself and yada yada yada. And so how do we cloak this in something that sounds maybe a little spiritual or religious, or tie it into something? It's amazing how people can come up with crazy excuses instead of just coming to Moshe with the point. So it was a door opened there, and I'm not speaking so much about when they came to Moshe, but a spiritual door. That when they began their, and again, I'm speculating, but when they began their usurping of authority behind the scenes, was this a door in the spirit that opened for the usurping of Moshe's authority? So my message to you, and as somebody that has been in ministry and pastoring and leadership for a number of years, I try not to make these things personal. I don't want to make it at any time self-serving. So I'm just throwing out some things of what I've seen and experienced through the years. The relationship between a shepherd and the sheep is a very interesting one. And it is one that we need to understand in our own walk, no matter who you are. Not everyone is called to be a shepherd. All right, if you have if all you have in a field is a group of shepherds, what do you call that? You don't call them shepherds. You call them a group of men sitting in a field. Because without sheep, there is no shepherd. They're a shepherd in title only. And in the end, they're all going to be cold because there's no wool to make clothing. You have one set of clothes and you're done when those are worn out. So in order for there to be the sheep shepherd and all that goes along with that, you must have sheep. So it is not derogatory. It is not that you are second class if you're called to be a sheep. Not everybody is going to be called to be a shepherd. So if you're called to be a sheep, try to be the best sheep you can. Try to be a sheep that is a blessing to the shepherd, which is going to develop a relationship in which that basic relationship comes to its goal, which is the sheep begin to be fruitful and multiply. The sheep have become a multitude of sheep. The sheep in turn give of their wool for the shepherd and for those around them, for people they may not even know, because that wool can be exported to places. So this whole relationship is a beautiful one, but each one of us must embrace who we are. So when the sheep go over into the corner and begin to murmur, however sheep would murmur, about the shepherd, well, that opens a door, because another sheep is feeding their close, and it's like, wait a minute, what did you guys say? And eventually you have the whole flock is turning against the sheep, and, well, things are not going to go well at that point. So did that open a door which would then cause the problems that happened with the 10 spies? Because what were they doing? They were usurping the authority of Moshe, and in turn were bringing the Almighty into this thing and saying that he was a liar, that he was not able to take them into the land. So this door, maybe, if I'm right in this, Miriam and Aaron, they cracked the door. The 10 spies flung it wide open, and Korach decides to enter in through the door and question the leadership of Moshe. And what did they say? We're all leaders. As to put in my illustration, we're all shepherds here. No, you're not. No, you're not. So I want to talk a little bit about leadership. This is going to be a little shorter today probably because I need to get it online. But I want to talk a little bit about leadership. I have in my desk a number of notepads that I've received and I've written through the years. One of them, I go back to a certain page, and I can't remember where I was when I wrote this or when I recorded this down. I just can't remember. So it says, it is the 7 costs of leadership. Now, I seem to remember that this was a secular conference that I was at. I'm not sure. So to bring out something like this, well, those are secular principles. No, they're not. See, many people, including those like John Maxwell and we see numerous ones today. I can't remember their names. These people through the years have used biblical principles. Biblical principles work no matter what you believe. Now, that may sound, well, wait a minute. No, see, if you use a biblical principle, the biblical principles in your garden, it doesn't matter what you believe. Your garden is still going to grow. It is still going to have a harvest. Now, I may feel that there's going to be a greater increase if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it because of your calling, it may have a greater increase. But to say that, well, we should not use anything that is from a secular person, well, it may be that the people that should have brought forth these things were so heavenly realm minded that they forgot about earthly realm principles to teach. So he used somebody else to do that. And here I want to give you these 7 principles, or it says 7 costs. I'm going to say 7 principles of leadership. Number 1 is self-sacrifice. A leader, and I'm not going to do a lot of commentary here, a leader never believes he is owed for his services. So back to the shepherd in the field. The shepherd is going to reap the benefits of wool growing on those sheep. And the more he takes care of those sheep, the more he anoints their head with oil, prepares a table before them, which is to go into a field and take out the poisonous weeds that a sheep would be trying to eat, because they will eat about anything. The more he puts into the efforts, the more he's going to get back. But he's not allowed to go and put those efforts out expecting or thinking that he is owed for those services. It is a matter of respecting the sheep. Number 2 is loneliness. Now, anybody that's ever been in a place of leadership understands this all too well. Loneliness, the loneliest person is one who has been entrusted with a prophetic message that is ahead of his time. You can never affect your generation until you're willing to stand alone. So if you've ever been in a room and, excuse me, if you've ever been in a room of 1,000 people and feel absolutely, totally, and completely alone, welcome to leadership. If you've ever been, you're thinking, hey, wow, I think I'm on the cutting edge. When you're on the cutting edge, you turn around and you can't see anybody. Okay, people say, hey, we're behind you. Yeah, they're so far behind you that you cannot see them. That is called leadership. willing to stand alone, not having other people's approval in order to continue to move forward. Now, this does not mean that a leader does things haphazard, that a leader does things without counsel. No, that's not what it says. But a leader is confident in where they're going because they have received and are walking with, in counsel. They're open for that, but they're willing to be out there on the cutting edge by themselves with it. Number 3, fatigue. Fatigue without complaint. Okay? You're tired. Yeah? You know why? Because you've been up for the last 3 nights protecting your sheep from wolves, coyotes, bears that are trying to get in and wreak havoc, destruction, and death on your flock. So yeah, you're fatigued. You're tired. Okay, that's part of the calling. Number 4, criticism. Not taking it personal. And that's difficult. Okay, we all have feelings. There's been a few people through the years that think I don't have any, but I really do. And criticism is not a word I say well. It is not something that I take easily. I don't like to be criticized. Even if it's for the right reasons, I don't like to be criticized. I really don't like it when I'm criticized without what I think is without cause. And I've been there. I've had that happen. Anybody in leadership has. But understand, when they're coming against Moshe, they're not really coming against Moshe. They're coming against the Almighty himself. And so if say I'm in a situation teaching, and what I'm saying is biblical, what I'm saying is biblically sound, is morally, ethically sound, and I'm criticized for that, they're not criticizing me. They're actually criticizing him. So criticism. Number 5, rejection. Wow. Moshe knew this one, didn't he? Not only did Moshe know this one, all the disciples would know this one. Yeshua himself would understand rejection. A leader is going to be rejected by the masses, because here's a problem in the world today. Is true leaders are not liked. People want to surround themselves with yes men, yes women. People that will tell them how wonderful they are. It's the old adage of the king has no clothes. The guy is standing there naked, but everybody's telling me how wonderful he looks in his wonderful clothes. He's not willing to be criticized or to be rejected by people when some of it's true. All right, but when it's not true and you're still rejected, when you're trying your best to help people to move forward and they just reject the message, again, they're not really rejecting you, they're rejecting him. Number 6 is pressure. The pressures that are upon a leader that is doing their job is you got to do things that other people are not willing to do to be a true leader. You can't just want to, I'm just going to get by this week. No, you've got to put out the extra effort. You've got to, you actually take upon yourself the pressure of responsibility. There is, I hear people, all the time talk about what they've done in life. They're retired, and Sometimes it'd just be wonderful to have a job that you punch the time clock, and well, nobody's going to call you, nobody's going to think about you, nobody's going to mention your name until tomorrow morning when you punch the time clock again, and you can just go home and do whatever you want. That's not a thing. That's not something that leadership has the ability. No matter what, if you have if you're working at wherever, okay, a typical a job, you're punching the clock, and your boss is a good leader, you may not take them home at night, but they take you home at night. And I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, that when the boss hits the time clock, it's just a physical thing. Mentally, emotionally, they continue that process of, how can I do this better? How can I motivate this person? The pressure. And number 7 is perplexity. There were times that Moshe is standing there just shaking his head. And any good leader knows that. There's times you're just going to shake your head and you're perplexed over why things are not working out. Why are we not, why are we out here in this wilderness for 40 years? Could I have not done a better job maybe? Okay, all those things. So it's 7 principles of leadership, but I'm going to add number 8. And number 8 is probably the most important of these principles, and that is prayer. Prayer. Leadership will drive you to prayer because you understand that with your sheep, you are an under shepherd, and there's nothing is really going to change for the better unless the shepherd steps in and helps. So leaders need to be taught. They need to learn how to pray for those who may not actually be worthy of that prayer. And we see that in Moshe and in Aaron in the next chapters as it goes from Korach. It goes then to the earth opening, which is in a way we could say that it's the ultimate picture. The worldly ways that Korach was desiring to walk in, the worldly ways of usurping authority. If you've ever had you have a job, I was in real estate. I sold cars for a while. That's blessing upon anybody that does that. It is, both of those jobs are usurping other people. You're all, it was just, I couldn't stand, I don't like that type of business, because where I was working, especially in car sales in Arizona, you were being undercut by everybody from the owner of the dealership down to the person that was coming in and cleaning the toilets at night, I think. So this usurping authority is a worldly way. And the perfect picture here is the earth opened up, and Korach, his associates, and their families. I mean, this usurping not only affected Korach, not only affected those who had joined with him, but it was also their families. And so what we do in life has other consequences, even to the so-called innocent. All right, let's go to Israel on this one. Are there innocent Arabs living in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Jenin, or Nablus, yeah, sure. They are, these young children that don't know any better but are being taught one dead Jew plus one dead Jew equals two dead Jews. There is a moment in time of innocence. And do they deserve to die? Well, maybe not. We look in the scripture, and Joshua was told, go in and kill everybody. David, go in and kill everybody, even the women and children. Why? Because of the path that they were on. And what had been, that path was set in place by parents and grandparents and other people. And so what you and I do affect generations to come. We saw that quoted in last week's Torah portion. Now, the next day, okay, a group of people come, and here there's still a scar. There's still this scar in the earth, and they look at Moshe and Aaron. Well, these people that you killed. Wait a minute. I mean, Moshe might have been a pretty powerful guy, but I don't think he had the ability to have the earth opened. No. So why are they blaming him? In fact, where is the blame? Well, it doesn't matter where the blame is in your own mind, in their own mind. It's like, it's not my fault. We didn't do this. It's never anybody's fault. I had a neighbor the other day. We have one neighbor that's fairly close that he's helping with his sister, I think it is, and she has like 3 or 4 kids. And I heard one of them the other day screaming. I mean, this blood-curdling scream. And so I saw him later in the day, and I said, so who almost died? And she said, well, he told me which one. Said she came in and just a little tiny scrape on the top of her foot, and I said, how's she doing? She said, oh, she's fine. He says, I looked at her and said, so what did you do? And she says, I jumped off of something I was not supposed to jump off of. Hey, kol hakavod, congratulations. That child took responsibility for something. It's not like, well, my sister picked me up and put me up on something, and then my brother pushed me off. And no, they actually took responsibility for something. I thought it was wonderful. So we see, of course, and I'm kind of skipping over things kind of fast here, but we see the plague that breaks out. In the end, 14,700 people have died. Think about that. In reference to, we're coming up on 9/11. Almost 3,000 people died on that day. Not going to the conspiracies. We look at what happened on October 7th in Israel, and then you figure the numbers out here. This is a lot of people, percentage-wise. 14,700. And Moshe is watching the plague break out and looks at Aaron, who, by the way, is like, 90 years old or something, or more, and says, hey, Aaron, go get a coal from the altar and run with that coal and go stand in the midst of the living and the dead. Can one man make a difference? Yeah, it is true. One person can make a difference when they're operating under the voice of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. When we're doing what we're supposed to do, we can make a difference. Now, it may be like the little boy walking down the beach throwing the starfish. You've probably heard this one, throwing the little starfish back in the ocean. And somebody walks up and says, son, there's thousands of starfish here. Do you really think you're making a difference? He picks up one, looks at it, and throws it back and said, I made a difference in that one. Sometimes you're just called to make a difference with one starfish that has been that has been put up on the beach and is in survival mode. Sometimes life is just about making a difference with one person. It is tragic that there are people that don't make a difference with one person because they're trying to make a difference in the multitudes, and they weren't called for that. I'll leave that thought with you. Now, lastly, I'm going to finish here. I'm going to try to do this very gently. Lastly, it talks about the Levites. Now, there are, in essence, there is not a functioning Levitical priesthood today. Some may tell me that they can trace their lineage back to Levi. Okay, that's fine. But with that being said, there's no temple. And so there cannot be a Levitical priesthood in operation. Now, I know the scriptures, I've read them, that we are all priests unto him. I got that. I understand at a level the whole concept of the Melchizedek priesthood. But people want to deflect in many ways from what the picture of the Levitical priesthood is to be. And when I say this, I'm not trying to replace that priesthood, understanding that there is a place for them. And as I've been reading about Ezekiel's temple, I think it's going to be eye-opening for some people that had kind of talked about people that said, well, that's all done away with. Anytime we say that's done away with the Almighty, it's not a good, it just kind of scratch that one from your vocabulary. So with this, what is the Levite? Who is the Levite? The Levite is one whose job responsibility is to help you in approaching your Creator. Now, the obvious, thought is, well, I don't need any help. Well, if you didn't need any help, why did he put the Levites there to begin with? Okay, if all of us we are all priests and leaders, okay, then why did he put them there? So to just, highlight this with a black magic marker is probably not the good thing. So the Levi means to join. So a Levite is one who is assisting you, helping you, directing you in the joining of you to your Creator with the protocols that the Creator has set up. Okay? So this would be like you go into a job. You want to become a plumber. Well, you don't own the company the first day. If you do, you're probably going to fail because somebody put you there. What do? You come in as an apprentice. And you're assigned someone who is a journeyman, who is a licensed plumber, that is now instructing you in how to put Teflon tape on and how to join two pieces of PVC pipe and how to crimp PEX. Okay? They're instructing you on the complexity of ventilation and all of those things that have to do with plumbing. Well, the Levite is the same thing. It's like a mentor. It's someone who is put there, hopefully by the Creator himself, to help you, to assist you. So when the person brought the lamb into the temple court, the tabernacle and temple court, my understanding is that the priest would actually instruct them, remind them of the protocol of slaughtering that lamb. They would actually be given the knife to do so, to cut the jugular, that vein that is there. So if that person could not do that, then the priest would step in and help them and assist them in whatever level of assistance was needed. And what is this? It is the sacrifice. The sacrifice that is on the altar, which is a picture of Messiah and their relationship with Messiah, who is going to lead them into the presence of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. So the Levite was to join and assist them. On the other hand, there's another word that is very similar to this. It is called Leach. Okay? Similar in that both of them start with the same letter. What is a leech? A leech is a bloodsucker. It is defined by Webster's as a hanger-on who seeks advantage or gain. I would go so far as to say that those who were, some of those, the religious system, some of those of the religious system, okay, I'm not putting everybody into this basket here, but some of those of the religious system in the first century, the time of Yeshua, had become leeches instead of Levites. I would go so far as to say today, in our religious systems, whether it be a synagogue, a church, a congregation, there are people who may have been at one time called to be in a Levitical role and have become leeches. How do we look at the difference? A Levite, when you're in the presence of a Levite, you feel like you're being given life. When you're in the presence of a leech, you feel that life is being taken from you. What happened with Korach? What happened with those that sided with Korach? They weren't bringing life into the camp. They were sucking the life out of the camp because they were messing with the authority that the Almighty had put into the camp. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, Shavua Tov, have a blessed, prosperous week. Bezrat Hashem, see you again next week. And until then, I'm probably going to get a few naps on this Shabbat. I'm thinking I really need them. Again, wow, Abraham, I got a lot more respect for you this week. Until next week, be strong.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.